Okay, it's time to get beachy. It's time to get beachy. It's time to get beachy. It's time for the Beach Brothers Show. I'm Seko Vaughn. I'm here with my good friend Jose Cruz and Conrad Chesventer. How you doing, son?
Doing
Okay, okay. Ooh, that hurt. Hey, look,
on the best.
the Beach Brothers Show is a interesting show. So Conrad is our booker for the show. So if you're interested in getting on the show, talk to Conrad. His information is in the detailed description. Jose is our beach business bully. If you're interested in finding out more about what the Beach Brothers can do for your business, make sure you talk to Jose. And uh I'm your serial entrepreneur, your Mr. Know-It-all, the person that you really want to run away from. All right. And so what do we have going on today, Conrad? Get us updated on the goings on in Virginia.
Well, great evening, Beach Brother Show viewers. Last night I ran myself out of breath in the monologue, so I'm going to try and shorten this up a little bit. Don't need any further embarrassment. Virginia reported just under 1,000 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday, with about 400 coming from Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads' increase of 408 cases was lower than recent days. The previous 7-day average was 448 per day. Hospitalizations due to the virus hit their highest one-day mark at 21 in the region for the first time since early April, when 67 hospitalizations were reported in a 2-day span. Next up, the Norfolk Food Bank was temporarily closed due to an employee positive test. Newport News school officials have laid out some options for what returning to school in the fall could look like during this coronavirus pandemic. But returning to 100% in-person instruction this fall is not feasible at this time, they said. Results from a community survey that went out in June showed most people preferred a mix of online and in-person instruction. The Virginia Employment Commission will pay capital results for services including press releases, reporter briefings, and social media campaigns, according to a report obtained through the state's procurement website. The cost is listed at about $124,000. This is a result of a massive influx of unemployment claims as a relation to COVID and the site's inability to deal with it all. Richmond's top prosecutor has cleared the Richmond Police Department of any wrongdoing following a review of 5 civil complaints launched against authorities amid unrest in the city in the recent months. Today, Congresswoman Elaine Luria, Democrat of the Virginia 2nd District, voted against a resolution limiting the president's power under the Insurrection Act to deploy federal troops to quell protests in the U.S. cities. I repeat, voted against limiting the president's power. Democrat Congresswoman Spanberger in the Virginia 7th joined her on that, and that's a significant vote, folks. But tonight, the focus is on school board, Virginia Beach School Board, and I'm glad the Beach Brothers Show is welcoming on Justin Burns to speak with us. We typically have on, like we did last night with Virginia Beach City Councilwoman Rosemary Wilson, seasoned politicians with years of experience. That's what makes Justin so special. He's 20. He's a Bayside Marlin, and even before graduating, he followed to run for school board in 2018. Now at Virginia Wesleyan, Justin got the gumption to file to run again. The Beach Brothers are impressed by the optimism and gumption of Mr. Burns, and we'd like to begin with this question. Justin, what has inspired you about the idea of running for Virginia Beach School Board in 2020?
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you all. What inspired me to run for school board was really all of the chaos and division that we've seen on the board these past 4 years. I think that our board really hasn't prioritized the issues that matter. Making sure we have solutions on how we're going to close persistent academic achievement gaps, how we're going to provide adequate level of funding for teacher pay raises and support staff pay raises, and how we're going to keep our schools safe. And so I think we need to prioritize those issues, and really make more progress on those issues. Also, I'm running because we are, right now, we don't have a lot of diversity on our board in either age or thought. And so my candidacy really would bring that level of diversity and perspective to the board, especially with being a recent graduate, and really having two younger siblings in our school division. I think I could bring a former student's perspective on the board. And lastly, I'd say unifying our board. I think we have to unify around our common goal, which is just as much as we can, keep it about the students and making sure that we provide them an adequate education, the best education rather, we possibly can. So.
Okay, Justin. Question. We at the Beach Brothers are sort of old heads. Conrad being the youngest and still 13 years, your senior. You filed twice in 2018 and 2020. And in 2018, you were even out of high school. Do you think, at least as a bedrock idea, that individuals as young as 20 or 18 are just as capable and talented at being a school board member as someone in their 40s or 50s?
I do. I think that's a great question. I think that our younger generations have a lot to offer, especially when it comes to school board. With, again, being a recent graduate, I'm able to speak of not only my experience, but really inform how issues really should be discussed, and what we should do in making sure that we're providing great solutions to the issues that we're facing. So I do think that it's really important, and going forward, I hope to see more and more young people get involved at the local level, whether it's school board or city council, or whatever office or commission or board. So I think that's important.
All right. Hey, Rebecca pops in with a interesting question. I want to know your thoughts on reopening virtual learning and providing quality to the least privileged in our community. So we'll go with Rebecca's question, and then I'll follow up with one of mine. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca. I think when discussing reopening, we really do need to look at all of the facts and acknowledge all of the data, scientific data that we're given, and follow the recommendations that pediatricians are giving us as well. I am for reopening our schools. I don't think a 5-day-a-week in-person format would be the best idea right now. I do think that we should go virtual the first semester, and then kind of gauge where things are for the second semester. I do think virtual learning is a good way that we should that we can engage younger students, and also engage students who are also in high school, because they're using those technologies, whether it's on their own time or even working. So it's really important to use that virtual aspect and to keep it going. I know there's been some issues with it early on, but as we continue to explore how we're going to um, move virtually, I think that all of those kinks will become a lot easier to navigate through. So I'm for reopening. I don't think a face-to-face 5 day a week is feasible. And I do think that the school divisions efforts to make sure that technology, every student is given a Chromebook,
Right.
is an
The
effort.
one-to-one initiative.
Yeah, the one-to-one initiative. I think that effort is uh, um, has done really an incredible job in bridging
Oh yeah.
that technological divide. I
Oh
think
man, we're ahead of some other of the divisions. I know I work in Norfolk, and yeah, I mean, we were scrambling to make sure that our students had the ability to tap into the virtual learning environment that was unfortunately forced upon us. So I give salutes and kudos to VB for kind of being ahead of the curve, as they used to say. That's
abs-
interesting.
Absolutely. And just to finish up on that, I do think where we need to go now is making sure that every student has access to internet. Um, there are certain areas in the city where kids are aren't able to get internet access, and so we need to really focus on how students all throughout uh, the city can receive internet access and really have the same opportunities that other students are granted. So,
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, Rebecca, thanks for your question. My question: some of the the members requested a referendum dealing with the voting. Currently we're at a totally at large system. So you could be running for the, let's say, Rose Hall district as a school board or city council member, but the entirety of Virginia Beach gets to vote on your position to represent that district. So do you like the at large system where we're totally at large, or do you want a different approach? Would you like each representative to run directly in their district? Where do you fit in on that referendum?
so I agree with the district-based voting system. I think that there are systemic and systematic disadvantages in our electoral system that really discourages a lot of young people from getting involved in running for office. I think
Young people, you think that the process prevents young people?
young people, and I'd say really all people, uh,
Okay.
from getting, but young people specifically, I think it definitely impacts everyone, but younger people because of the big money that you have to raise in order to run in the city, and I think that that really creates a have and have not situation. And so with the district-based voting um, system, we're able to hold our candidates and electeds uh, more accountable to the voters. And so I think going forward, we should have, I hope City Council gauges community input and really do make a thoughtful decision on how to go forward.
Okay, that's interesting. uh when you were running, as you've been running, I know you ran in 2018, did you have people that mentioned anything about, you're not in my district so I can't vote for you? What district? Did you have those types of questions presented to you? I know I did.
I did in 2018, and even here in 2020, a lot of people uh, that I've met, either in the Bayside district or Kempsville district, they say, "Well, can I vote for you? And luckily enough, I'm running at large, where everyone in the city can vote for me. But I have had those questions, and I do think again, having a district-based voting system, it will take some of those disadvantages off that there is currently.
Okay. All right, great. At this time, I want to take a minute to shout out, do our business shout out for the evening. I want to shout out a business out in the oceanfront, 2420 Atlantic Avenue. It's called Best for Less. It's an awesome place to stop in, get in shirts. I mean, all your little collectibles, all your little memorabilia. It's a great souvenir shop to stop in. So go ahead and check it out. They're open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to midnight. Stop in and see Mo and tell him Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you. And then on that note, I want to take this time to go ahead and ask you my next question. Social security, excuse me, school security remains an important topic year in and year out. We've had only multiple school board members like Mr. Cortez, Mr. Telkamp, and Mr. Feld, who we presented with their thoughts on school security. Could you address it for us? And in doing so, remember school safety on fights, guns, and also COVID-19.
Yes, I think that's a great question, by the way. School safety is a huge issue, especially given the May 31st shooting that we had a year ago. I think it's on the minds of all parents on how they can keep their children safe. And I think really we've done a great job at making sure that our schools are safe and remain safe. The superintendent, I believe he had a blue ribbon task force that was with the city that had the last police chief on the task force with him, and they made some recommendations on how they would want to proceed to keep schools safe. And I think we really need to take a look at those recommendations and act based on those recommendations. And also, I would say that we should bring technology into the question of into the topic of school safety. Going forward, it's going to be really important in how we assist, I believe, our security teams that are there, and also and also keeping up our building values too. I think that technologies that such as the shooter detection system really would up building value. And so when we look at replacing schools, I think that would be an added benefit in our schools, and really would harden those soft targets as well. So I think we should look. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's kind of intriguing. I like the idea that we have to look at technology as we look at school safety, not simply to provide safety, but there was like an implication that we also needed to make sure that the technology that we provide is safe. And that wasn't a major crux of your argument, but it was hidden there, and I thought that was intriguing. Wow, that's interesting point.
Absolutely, and I do think it kind of corresponds with the virtual question that Rebecca asked. I think going forward, we do need to look at technologies and really acclimate ourselves with them, because they're going to be here, and we have to move into the 21st century. We can't keep lagging behind, thinking everything's going to be okay without it. So
Well, did you touch on school resource officers, Rebecca? And I want to salute Rebecca. She's definitely a friend of the show. We love you, Rebecca. Oh, we love you because she comes up with some great questions. So, did you touch on school resource officers? Because the SROs, have been a really big part of our security approach in the schools. I want to salute our SROs. I know a few of them. Yeah, and they've been a big part of the security approach. So, your thoughts on the SROs?
They have been a big part in making sure our schools are safe. And I support our school resource officers. I think their uh, position in our school is vital. They really do provide a sense of security for students, especially um, students, I'd say, at the middle school level, as they see everything that's going on, around them, knowing that there is someone there dedicated to keep them safe and protect really everyone inside of the building. I think that gives a great sense of security and uh, makes it more, in my opinion, more valuable. Their
Okay,
presence there, their time there. So
okay, okay.
they play a huge role in our schools, and I support them 100%.
All right. Well, quick question: did you feel more secure because there was the SRO there? I know some of our students don't feel as secure with the SROs there.
I did personally. I went to
Okay.
Plaza Middle School.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Salute the
I
Trojans.
Yeah, and on a side note, I was actually good friends with your son Baldwin back at Plaza. So um, I knew the school resource officer there, and he really made it an effort to get to know the students and build a relationship. And so I felt safe and secure from knowing not only he's just there, but knowing that he's there to look out for us. And I think that's what most students feel. And so once they have that, it does build up a sense of security. So
All right. What's the significance of your slogan? Challenge to be better and do better. Not just be, but do. What's the significance? And where did it come from? Did you make that up?
I did. I
Okay.
have been thinking about, thank you. I have been thinking about, as I said from the outset, all of the chaos and divisiveness that we've seen, and we can do better. And we're not limited to the all of the bickering and the partisanship. We are better than that. And I think once we understand that
Mm.
um, I think that once we understand that we can, do better, that we don't have to settle for what's being dished out. We can, you know, have a difference of opinion and not be each other's enemies personally. I think once
Okay.
we act
Okay.
on that, we can really move in a way that makes, how can I say it? I think in a way
Look,
that makes us um,
are
on
you are
one
you
team.
speaking on the partisan nature of the makeup of our current school board? I mean, we have two sides to our current school board. That's pretty much what we're saying. So when you're saying we can do better, are you saying we can do better than the partisan nature of our current board?
Absolutely, we can, and I don't even understand why there is two sides on our board. If we're there to make sure that every student has um, the chance, the opportunity to receive a great quality education, then there shouldn't be a majority or minority. It should be just uh, for the students, based on the students. We can agree to disagree in how we get there, but at the end, um, our goal should remain the same. It shouldn't be, well, this is a Republican issue, so I'm going to stick to this ideology, or I'm a Democrat and I'm going to stick to this ideology. I don't agree with that being on a nonpartisan board.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to ask the difficult question, and you don't have to answer. Where does the problem lie, or who is the problem?
I don't think I need to name drop. I think these past 4 years, we've seen who the issue is, and we've seen what they have been able to cause in our school division. I don't think, you know,
Okay.
I don't think,
Are you
I
studying
don't,
political science? Are you studying political science?
I'm not, I'm a psychology major. Um,
Oh, okay, even better. Okay.
so just to finish answering your question, I don't think I need to specifically name drop, because we know who this person is, and we've seen the type of partisanship she has really brought to our school division, and really she has um, uh, you know just
So that could be everybody but Dan.
it can be
Hey, we're good.
everybody but Dan. Yes,
We're
I'll put
good.
it that way. We've seen
We're
all
good.
of what she's been able to do. We've seen all of the chaos. The last thing that we need is a is a reelection of that. We don't need to manufacture chaos. We need to focus on issues.
Ooh, okay. He put on his Don Lemon hat. I like that. No, that was a great response. That was very mature. That was very forward thinking. Uh, Good stuff. Hey, Jose, man, you got a question you want to pop in with, bro?
Sure thing. Now the school board handles a huge sum of money, basically half the Virginia Beach budget, some $1 billion annually. We hear you think teacher and staff salaries could use improvement. Could you touch more on that topic?
Yeah, we have a large budget, as you said, $906 million. Um, but nearly 85% of that budget of the school operating fund goes to personnel costs. And so the remaining, about, I'd say, 15% goes to utilities, gasoline for buses, etc. But only 2% of that 15% is discretionary spending. That's spending that the board actually gets to control. Um, so it's a lot of money in our budget, as you said, but it's very little that the board gets to really work with. But our school division had budgeted a 3.5% employee salary increase for the 2020-2021 school year. And then the governor in his budget had uh, uh, recommended a 3% uh, uh, salary increase as well. So that's around, it's an adjustment of around 6.5% more between this year and the next year. But all of that really has been uh, just wiped out by the impacts of COVID-19. And I'm sure you've seen this in the amended budget. We have approximately, I believe, $27 million shortfall. And so
Ooh.
the question is, how do we restore or make better those teacher salaries? those teacher salary increases, and I don't have all the answers for that, and I don't think I'd be able to fit it into tonight's broadcast. But
Okay. All
I
right.
will say going forward, we need to prioritize teacher pay, especially with the national teacher shortage, and also a statewide teacher shortage. I think that once we pay them their worth, we won't have to really worry about them trying to meet rising costs and how they're going to make ends meet in their personal life. I think if a teacher has to do that, we're doing them a disservice as they're providing us their expertise, and really they're contributing their public service to the community. So we need to prioritize that issue and really do make good on that.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, brother Josh Kellogg asks, do you think the actions and deliberations by the VB School Board are transparent enough? Do you think the board overuses closed sessions for issues that should be discussed in public session? Hey, Josh, I want to salute you on that. That's a great question. Do you think the school board is transparent enough? Are they hiding behind the closed sessions? What are you thinking? And then we're going to jump back and we're going to hit on the achievement gap question. But right now, are the proceedings and deliberations open and transparent enough? What do you think?
I think they could be a little bit more transparent. I know that there has been a lot of concerns around what's considered a closed session and what's considered open session, and really what can be included in both. But I do think we should be more transparent as it relates to issues on how we're going to, for example, how we're going to, if we needed to improve grading, how we were going to do that. I think that the administration could be a little bit more transparent in those deliberations, and really just open it up to the community for input like they have been doing. But I do think that they could, as it relates to the closed and open session, that it could be a little bit more transparent. But we do need to keep in mind the legal definitions and really the ramifications of closed and open sessions, and if information that's considered closed session is discussed in open session, how that impacts the school division. So we really do need to keep that in mind. But yes, we do need to be more transparent.
The achievement gap, and then maybe we'll talk about PBIS. But let's start with the achievement gap. What do you think? How do we address the achievement gap?
I think we specifically, I've been looking at the absenteeism rates and how we can really shrink those. We've seen that it's disproportionate from African American students to their white counterparts. We really do need to, in my opinion, look at the quality of education students are receiving, and how we're engaging them, I think really does matter. I also believe, just thinking outside of that, I think we need to also do a better job with retaining and also attracting our guidance counselors, because they are the ones that meet students where they're at. And a lot of students deal with, that they come from their home, maybe with an issue, and they're bringing that to school. And I think that we can do a lot better at retaining and really attracting guidance counselors. I do think guidance counselors are the they're the resource that really gets to know our students better and will be able to solve some of the issues there.
That's interesting. You think that guidance counselors, or maybe just emotional support, counseling support, is the secret sauce. I don't know if we have a hard, and I say we in terms of our city, I don't know if we have a hard time attracting and retaining guidance counselors. Those are some of the jobs that are kind of harder to find. But you've been in the school a lot more recently than I have. So I'll take your word for that. Brother Conrad, man, what's good? What's good? You have a question?
Well, one thing that is not with an achievement gap is Southern Volkswagen in Chesapeake. I am fully appreciative of my 2017 Jetta with a rocking AC in this July heat. To close the gap on your car's achievement, go to 1248 South Military Highway, speak with Cynthia Rawlings and Charlie Roy, and make sure your car is rolling. And I'll roll into my next question. I'm running for a Rose Hall seat on Virginia Beach City Council, and I want a strong and communicative relationship between school board and council. And I understand an important topic, the school to prison pipeline. The pipeline is the disproportionate tendency of minors and young adults from disadvantaged backgrounds to become incarcerated as a result of increasingly harsh school and municipal policies. The Beach Brothers are curious if you want the Virginia School Board to tackle that issue head on.
Absolutely. I think that we really do need to provide solutions to lessen the impact of the school to prison pipeline. I think we've made a great we've made a great start in addressing the school to prison pipeline with PBIS. I think going forward, I'd like to see more policies that address the contributing factors to that pipeline, making sure that zero tolerance policies are not, in my opinion, on the books, and really, again, making sure that we have, I would say, guidance counselors, school psychologists, those resources there to really provide support for our students. I don't, it's been said a lot that school resource officers do contribute to that pipeline in terms of student discipline. And I think that I really do think that we need to separate I do think that we need to separate that from student discipline and keep that school resource officers on more of a safety aspect, and let our, again, guidance counselors, school psychologists, social workers take the lead in making sure that we're establishing positive behavioral interventions and not suspending students for just minor offenses at a disproportional rate. So I do think that we need to tackle it head on. I don't have all the solutions on how we should do all of it, but I think those ideas that I just laid out are some that we should take going forward. I can't hear you, Jose.
Excuse me. All right. I apologize for that. Now, we've asked the following of the school board candidates. Virginia Beach has a master plan for school replenishment. Bayside High School is a school on the docket to be replaced with a newer model, but COVID and other budget concerns are putting delays on this. How would you like the school board to handle the prospect of being stubborn on passing at all the needed school replenishments over the years and on time?
It's funny that you mentioned Bayside. Bayside is 56 years old, and I'm very concerned with how little time it's taking to it's taking to replace our older schools. Um, Ensuring all students, teachers, and other employees have safe working environments. That matters, and that must be a priority. And I think going forward, we need to open this discussion to the community for input and really make fiscally responsible decisions as to when we will replace our older schools. Um, we spoke to the issue of teacher salary increases and support staff salary increases and the impact that COVID-19 has had on that. COVID-19 has had an impact on our whole budget, and so ultimately, in my opinion, it comes down to seeing where we're at in the future, and really strategically investing capital in our CIP. But as you know, COVID-19 has really, again, changed a lot. And so going forward, I'm sure there will be more changes, but I don't want to get too specific in how we should really go about replacing some of our older schools. But it is an issue.
You mentioned the CIP. Of course, I know what that stands for. Can you give a quick definition of the CIP for our viewers who may not be as informed on some of the school board language and acronyms?
Yeah, so the capital improvement program is really the program where funds are appropriated to fund school replenishment, renovations, modifications. It's how our school board goes about making sure there's enough funding for those projects and really scheduling them out on a long-term basis.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, man. You're very presidential. I love it. Hey, Rebecca asked about PBIS, and you mentioned PBIS, positive behavioral interventions. You mentioned that in one of your last comments. So do you think that PBIS has been successful? You mentioned that it's been successful in possibly reducing the attendance in the preschool to prison pipeline. But many would question that. Many would actually push back and say, PBIS is pretty big investment in I'll leave the S word out. But so there are a lot of people who are really pushing back on PBIS and saying that it's not really helping our system. What are your thoughts on PBIS?
There are issues with PBIS, but it works. I've seen overwhelmingly, results of how PBIS has worked for many students and really many families, including my older brother and sister. Using PBIS, they are, I would say, they are more temperate. They are more understanding that actions have consequences, and they should be passed down accordingly. It shouldn't be, because you do something, a minor infraction, you should receive this huge consequence, and hopefully that sticks on your mind and makes you not, want to do it again.
Is that the parents' role? Is that the parents' role?
I do think
Are we trying to be the parents?
I do think it's the parents' role to really crack down on that. But if we can implement positive strategies that really correspond with what parents are teaching at home, then kids aren't missing a beat. They're getting what they need both at home, in my opinion, and at school. And I don't see any issue with having that.
Okay. Josh asked what happened in 2 years. He mentioned that it was his impression, I'm reading what Josh stated, that you were opposed to PBIS when you ran in 2018.
Josh is right. I was. I was opposed to that in 2018. And what changed my mind was really understanding what PBIS was all about. Knowing that there are issues within the system, just like any system, and that we can work through those issues. But a lot of people talking about, a lot of people talk about replacing PBIS, but they have no plan to replace it with. So I think that we should really work through the issues that we have, acknowledge some of the great things that is come out of PBIS, and again, just work towards making it better. I think that that's what we should do. But Josh is right. I was opposed to it 2 years ago, but I am supporting it from, again, my younger brother and sister, seeing them react to it positively, and really talking to teachers and hearing great things from teachers about it, and doing my own research on it, and from that, understanding that we can work towards making it better. It's not something that we can, especially if there's no plan to replace it with, take it out of our division. And what's next? I know that has been, PBIS has been, it has been
like
coupled with grading, and a lot of people talk about, well, we gotta, PBIS is horrible. We gotta take it out, and we gotta reform grading. I think we need to, again, reform both, but we shouldn't repeal them.
Interesting. Yeah, PBIS has really kind of been like the affordable health care or Obamacare for our school system. So it's been interesting how when people have had the chance to interact with that PBIS, some of their thoughts have in fact changed. And you're a great example of that. Okay. All right. Wow. So sum up your opinions on the school board, man, on your race, what you like to see going forward. Oh, you know what? Let's do this question. I love Rebecca. Yeah, salute Rebecca. I know you said this is a nonpartisan race and you want to work across the aisle, but can you tell us where you lean? Do you identify as a R or a D? That's a deep question. That's actually not a deep question. It's an interestingly placed question. Are you a R or a D, or are you a I? I'm an I. I'm purple. I'm purple. So, what color do you rep, man? Are you Crip Blood or Omega Psi Phi? Are you Republican or Democrat?
So I have been on both sides of the political spectrum. I am more of a moderate. I would say I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal. With everything that's going on in the parties right now, I think that it has made it difficult to really be a Republican in this time. And a lot of what we've seen from the Republican side has been really tough to bear with. So I at this moment, I'm out of either side. I do lean conservative, but in this race, I am independent, and I will again act nonpartisanly as I preached on this broadcast for about 49 minutes. So.
Hey, well, I appreciate that. As a fellow purple, I truly embrace you. Welcome to the club. I started off blue, I became red, and then when I looked at the hypocrisy on both sides, I ended up purple. So I salute you on that. Lucas made an interesting point about, why are we asking the candidates in a nonpartisan race to identify themselves? And I think that's a simple question, Lucas. I think the answer is people want to simply say, I want to vote for the red or I want to vote for the blue because I don't want to put the time into finding out what these people are really going to do. And I think that my red beliefs are perfect or my blue beliefs are perfect. It's unfortunate, but Lucas, I think that's the reason why people are pushing candidates to identify, because they don't necessarily accept or want to do the work. And I might not be Rebecca's situation. That's definitely not Rebecca's situation, but I think in general that's what happens. So let's go with my last question. So sum up your opinions on the school board, on your race, and what do you want to see going forward, good brother?
Just to add on to what you were saying, I agree with you on that. It's my opinion. Education sees no political party. It just doesn't. And I get that.
Say that again. Say that again. Say it. Ultra Bay. Say it again.
Education sees no political party. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm the son of a teacher's aide and the nephew of a career educator, 30 plus years in both Virginia Beach and Norfolk. And it's about providing the best education possible. Kids can care less whether you're a Democrat or Republican. They just want to know, how are you going to give them the opportunities they need to succeed? Personally, who I align with, I'm not afraid to talk about it. Not afraid to talk about my issues that I do have with both sides, and right now with the Republican Party. But again, aside from that, we have to remember, and like I said, now it's 52 minutes I've been preaching about nonpartisanship on the school board. We have to, and I can't stress it enough, we have to have people that will not tout the party line when it comes to education. You're on a nonpartisan board, and so you gotta leave that at the door. And really get to work for students, teachers, and the school division. They're counting on you to be an advocate for them, not a Republican advocate or a Democratic advocate, but an advocate, a strong advocate for them.
Hey man, welcome to Club Purple. I want to salute the sound of freedom that I keep hearing in your background. Right, that's the sound of freedom, right? That's the air. Unless you live near the airport. Do you live near the airport? That might be the sign of commerce.
No, this is
capitalism.
This is Laskin Road, jets flying overhead, jet noise. This is what that is.
Okay. All right. Well, salute that.
Absolutely.
Answer the last question, good brother. Sum up your opinions on the school board, on your race, and what you'd like to see going forward.
So we have, our school board has done, we've made a lot of progress, really in our school division. And I think going forward, the question will be, how do we maintain that progress? Do we continue with a divisive figure, a figure who likes to manufacture chaos, or do we go about it with, again, strictly being about students, teachers, and division as a whole? What is our goal? And if our goal is our division and the people that we serve, then it will be advancing the progress that we've made, not tearing it down, not denigrating our school division, or bringing fights with other school board members out into the public for people to see. I mean, no one cares about that. I know my mother doesn't care about that, and I don't care about that. So moving forward, again, we have to build on the progress that we've made. It's not by mistake that 3 consecutive years we've been fully accredited. We've had more students graduate in my class of 2018. We've had more students receive scholarship money from my class of 2018. You know, all of that is by no mistake, and we have to keep moving forward on that type of progress. I'm not interested in the chaotic nature of really what people want to bring up. I'm not into that. So I do see that our school division is moving in the right direction. We got to keep that going. I believe the other part of your question was how do I view the race? So the race right now, 6 people, including me. But tonight, I do want to announce that I am withdrawing from the race. And I'm doing so because, again, we have so much at stake in our school division. The issues that we face really are important, and they deserve urgent. They deserve the urgency that is needed, and so I am supporting a good candidate, a candidate that I think will be a great school board member who will work with her colleagues and really bring our school board together, prioritize, again, those issues that I mentioned that matter, and be about public education. And for me, that candidate is Lauren Logan.
Wow, the hits just keep on coming. Brother Seko, your thoughts?
Wow.
I'm going to remain silent right now.
This is quite interesting.
Absolutely. So
I didn't even see that.
Lauren Logan. You're supporting Lauren Logan.
absolutely.
Wow.
All right. Okay. Lauren Logan. Okay. All right. So okay.
Training time out. I didn't even see them coming. Hold on. Woo! I need a drink.
Lauren. Okay. Yeah. No salt on Lauren. I've actually heard good things about her. I think she's a really good friend of my dear mentor, Joanna Calicito. So Joanna has been talking to me about Lauren for a minute. What does Lauren stand for that you support?
She has talked about, I know some of her platform is really about how do we move out of COVID-19? How do we respond to that? Do we, what type of leadership do we need? And she says that we need decisive leadership to get us through these times. And I agree. She is for improving teacher salaries. She's for continuing the progress that we've made in the school division, and I support that wholeheartedly. She's not about creating chaos. She's not about even about any of the division that we've seen these last 4 years. She is making sure that that again, really, we remain about public education, and that our school division really stays intact, for lack of a better phrase, that we don't go off of the extreme again that we've seen these past few years. So she's about making progress. She's about making sure that our school division is leading on the issues that I mentioned, especially as it relates to COVID-19 and those impacts. So that's why I support Lauren Logan. I think, again, she will be a school board member that will work with her colleagues, and she will be a school board member that we can really believe in, that we can all believe in, from her experiences of being a mother of three, with students in our public schools, to her community vast community experience with community involvement. We really will have a tremendous asset in her on our school board.
Well, Mr. Justin, we've appreciated your enthusiasm tonight on the Beach Show, and we love the hell out of your mind and willingness to jump into the city fray at such a young age. Hopefully we see many more people like yourself take a run at it. We appreciate you come on and giving us truthful and deep answers to these questions. And hopefully we'll also get to see you around in the future, very much so. Mr. Jose, I'm curious if you have any final thoughts tonight.
No, I mean, still in shock with the news that we just heard, but no final thoughts. Thanks to our viewers for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Beach Brothers. Have a good night, everybody. I'm done.
You guys have a great night. It's over for tonight. See you next time.